You're not an expert at every single thing, but you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You have to have a proficiency in some areas, and there'll be some things you're better at that come more naturally to your body or your brain. And today I'm chatting with Phil Hawes. Phil's in the UFC. He's been kicking ass over there. Got 11 professional wins in his career. He's NCAA champion with Division I.
Junior college national champ, Division I wrestler. Yeah.
Excuse me if I fucked it up. I do that from time to time. Wrestled in Division I, national champion, and all-around swell guy. So we got a lot of mutual friends. That Phil trains at Sanford MMA. It's one of the top guys over there that, you're training with all the other superstar, big champions, big winners over there. Sure. Big winners. Big winners over in that camp. So I know your main coach, Henry Hooft, is a buddy of mine. I love Henry. Yeah. Training with Mike Chandler, training with
Derek Brunson.
Derek Brunson, Gilbert Burns. So you got a big crew over there. Were you there when Usman was over there?
Briefly, a little bit. I was like coming in, he was going, but now he's back. So he's coming. Yeah, and it's awesome. Just I didn't, when people are around, blah, 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 it's no big deal. But like when having him in the room and seeing him work, it just like bumps you up a little bit. It's like motivates you, you know what I mean? You just like catch a glance, like, okay, that's a champ right there. I'm in the right spot. Let me work a little harder, So it's inspiring.
We spent a few hours together back in Vegas a couple months ago. And yeah, I really like Kamaru. I thought he was, really a sharp guy. And it was clear to me, I didn't know his personality much. I knew he was a very talented fighter, but I didn't know his personality. But I spent a few hours with him, getting to know him better. I'm like, oh, this guy's, smart and with it. And, I could understand why he's had some of the success that he did. I see why. I seen why. It made a lot more sense. So, in any case, there's a lot of killers in that room down there, and you're holding your own and doing quite well. The guys tell me you're on your way up.
I am definitely blessed to be part of the team. That's Henry Hoof. He's such a good orchestrator. He orchestrated the team and the facility in a way that everyone wants to come. You know what I mean? And of course, it's Florida, so it's like you can't really knock it. But I'm just definitely blessed and just going to keep climbing, keep working, and, at the end of the day, be world champion. So,
I was just going to ask you, what are your goals over there? So, world champ is on the radar.
Of course, world champ, after getting to like the film industry, maybe producing films, I love movies and stuff like that, but that's on the back burner right now. Try to build some wealth like you are yourself, so my next fight, I'm gonna buy my first rental property. It's gonna be like a duplex, and just keep trying to do that a couple times and do that a couple more times.
90% of people that have $1 million or higher net worth made at least some of that money from real estate. Is the number one way that, it's the number one most common way that people have made money. So 90% of millionaires have made at least some portion of their money from real estate. And that's a good thing, that you can be active in your career and still be making passive income like that and get the tax deductions from the rental properties. As you know, you can depreciate that over 27 and a half years. And if it's commercial property, you can depreciate it over 39 years.
Yeah.
And so you get the depreciation aspect of having rental properties. You have, you get extra tax write-offs for certain things. You got to pay lower taxes because it's capital gains tax instead of earned income tax. And if you have to have a property management company, like you don't have time to go deal with maintenance and while you're in the mix of your career and building your MMA career. But if you have a property management company, you still have some cash flow and some money coming in the short term, and appreciation, gains from appreciation, well taken depreciation. And there's a lot of money there. There can be a lot of money there. So I think it's a smart way for somebody, for athletes to make money and protect their net worth and build their net worth, while they're still in the mix of their career.
Now, would you suggest, because it's going to, of course, you got to start small, right? So I'm not going to be able to afford a property manager right away. I'm going to have to do it myself, you know what I mean? And have to kind of cater to my tenants. And also, would you suggest, because I was going to rent one side, live in one side, rent the other side, try to live as free as possible, or should I just rent both these properties out and live below my means at some other?
I'll give you a long nerdy conversation privately, but you'll get better tax advantages if you have a duplex. You can have up to 4 units, and if you live in one of them, you'll have extra tax advantages for doing that.
Oh, the FHA.
Well, you're eligible for FHA funding,
Yeah.
but then there's other things you can do with depreciation, and there's other tax benefits in that. And I'm happy to nerd up about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna lose 90% of the people if I do a deep dive on that at this moment. But no, you can buy up to a fourplex. So 4 units under one roof. You get several tax advantages to that, and then if you're living in the property for a couple of years, then you have other tax advantages that if you sell it for a profit later, you're going to pay less taxes. And yeah.
And then I also heard you say the greats, they never really do it. I wouldn't say a loner, but I'm a do it myself. You know what I mean? I also heard you say it's not best to do it alone. If you're a great conqueror, you had an army, you orchestrated this, right? So now in my head, I'm like, should I use all my own money, or should I get a couple of people in here, we do this together, or how would you go about that?
No, thank you for coming to interview me.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, nobody does that. I wish they'd ask me more questions. I said it half as a joke, but I mean it sincerely. So ask me whatever you want. It'll be a fun, different type of interview. I think they'll like it actually. So feel free. I got a few thoughts. I'm just not big on business partners. When I think about, I'll tell you why. So imagine this is like, you think about your level of work ethic and commitment and the things that you do, and I'm that way in business. And usually when somebody wants a business partner, they'd like you to do most of the work and then split the profits.
Yeah.
And when I just think about reality, about how humans are, that I'm really very fussy about that. That why do I want a partner? If I'm capable of doing something by myself, it's better for me to invest my own money and have my efforts and my money tied together without having that tied to somebody else.
Gotcha.
And so I'm just not excited about that. I see a lot of people. It's like a stereotype about athletes for a reason. I have a friend that was an NFL guy, and it would take us 20 minutes for me to just give bullet points of the numerous ways he's been fucked over. Or somebody stealing from him this way and stealing this way and fucking up money. That's
disheartening.
It's such a common thing with athletes that somebody's going to say in the background of you just work on your career, you just do your thing, I'm going to take care of everything.
Which is easy as an athlete, all right, cool, thanks, man.
Yeah, and then the majority of people in your sport particular, I think they're pretty high integrity people. That they tend to keep their word, they tend to be pretty honest, they tend to show up on time and do what they say they're going to do. So if you're surrounded by a bunch of other people that are professionals, that are high level athletes, and teammates and coaches hold them to that standard, even if they're not naturally that way. They're like, all right, I can be a fucker somewhere else, but I can't do that in this environment.
Wrong place.
So I can't do that shit here. So in your head, you'll be willing to believe, be like, yeah, if the guy's telling me he's going to take care of that, and cool, probably he will, And then you find out later that you don't even own the property anymore. You've been paying for taxes and expenses, and the profits have been going somewhere else. And there's so many terrible things that, I don't know, man. I'm not saying all partnerships are bad, but I don't want to have a partner that, if I'm not the majority owner, or if I don't control the business, I don't really want anybody else involved. And unless there's something very strategic that they offer, I'm just not really interested in having business partners. I have 0 partners in my current business. I don't have partners because I just don't think anybody's going to work as hard as I do or do what I'm going to do. And I know how to do it. And I'm happy to hire somebody. I hire a lot of people to help me with things. So I hire a lot of contractors to help me with things. That doesn't mean I don't want help, but I'd rather pay somebody to help me within this area or within this area. And if they don't do their part, it's real easy for us to split up,
Dang, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. That's perfect.
I'd say one more thing about the stock market related to partnerships is I'm happy to invest in large companies where, if you think of what a stock is, it's like you own a little bit of some big publicly traded company. And I don't control that asset. It's like the managers of the company are going to make the decisions, not me. But if they do some shit I don't like, I could take my phone out of my pocket right here, and I go to my brokerage account, and in about 1 minute's time, I can separate from that company. That I go to click that stock, and I press sell, and I press sell all, and I press market order, and I press review, and I press confirm, and that's the end of our partnership. So if I don't like the way they're managing the assets, About 1 minute later, we can break up. And I can go take that money and I can go invest it somewhere else where I think that they're going to manage the assets better and that there's going to be more future profits.
Got it.
If you have a partnership where you own real estate together and you have companies together, you might be in court for 5 years.
Yeah.
Somebody fucked you over and did wrong by you, and you might be in court for 5 years and spending hundreds of thousands or $1 million more on lawyers trying to make things right.
Yeah.
So I don't mind, in my personal businesses, I like to hire people to help me with things, and some of them are very well paid. But in terms of partnerships, I think of the stock market that way, is that there's other people that can run an oil and gas company or shopping centers or something better than I can, and like I'm happy to be a minority owner where they have control. I don't get to make decisions, but if I don't like the way they're managing it, easy to break up, just gone.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, 100%. Definitely helped me with the perspective of like how you said, okay, don't be a loner, but now you said like, okay, don't be a loner in certain aspects of the business. And
I'm not an expert at everything in business, man. And like, you're not an expert of every thought or move or something that ever happened in MMA. You don't know every goddamn single thing.
Yeah.
And you're not an expert at every single thing, but you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. You have to have a proficiency in some areas, and there'll be some things you're better at that come more naturally to your body or your brain, and there'll be some things that you and I are not going to move the same way that like a 125-pound dude can move, but like, he could hit you 60 times, and if you hit him once,
it's a game over. Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
I was training with Andrei Arlovsky, and he makes that point a lot, that like, if the little guys can hit each other 100 times, but like, Andrei is weighing, 240 something.
He's a big boy.
Like at fight time, he's weighing 240 something. And, he's like, somebody, my size, his size, that, if you hit somebody once, you might, shut the lights out. Or, if you hit him 3 times, then probably for sure, if you got, 3 good strikes on somebody and you're as big as him or, or me, or you for that matter, is like, they're going to have a tough time with that. Most guys can't take that,
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't try to learn movements or try to learn things in MMA that probably I'm not suited to, I've had some coaches that are smaller than me, and some of them want me to move the way that they move, and I'm just like man, I'm never my body's not gonna do that.
Yeah. That's not your wheelhouse. That's not your. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'd like to focus on a few things. Anyway, I digress, but you get the idea. So like in business, I just think like, I'm not the best tech guy. I know some things pretty well. I know some areas of tech pretty well, but there's other people that are better at that than me, and I'm not really that interested in it. There's some things that have to be done with technology. So it's better for me to find other people that are better at that than I am and understand it better, and for me to be involved in the management of that and communicate with each other about what needs to happen and why and how do we do that and who can do that best.
So how do you find from that and you limiting yourself like, oh well, okay, say like technology, like not good whatever technology guy, and you like, oh, let me dive deeper in this, figure out this technology thing, or like, oh, okay, well, I don't really need to know that. Like, how do you find that avenue, right? Like,
I think I got to know enough about every area of business that I can have a conversation with somebody who is an expert, and I can understand. We can have a conversation, and I can know, like, is this person doing a reasonably good job? Are they finding some way to fuck me over and steal from me in some way?
Okay.
Do they seem to know what they're talking about? And part of that is just having social relationships too. That like you'd have other people in your life, that people that you know and trust, that maybe you don't have a business relationship with, but they're experts in some area that because hey, could you come check this guy out? And like, he seem to be legit? Does his skills seem to be legit?
Okay.
And it's easy for them to see that they could spend 10 minutes with somebody. If you spent 10 minutes with a guy who says he's a tough guy fighter, if you spend 10 minutes on the mats with him, you understand pretty clear like what his skill set is. He can't bullshit you about that. It's just you know.
Agree.
So same thing as like other people that I don't have to be a tech expert, but some of my friends are.
Yeah.
And if I know enough about something, I say hey, can you have a conversation with this fellow with me and see what you think about this. And they're going to tell me pretty clear of like, he's probably good at this or this, and that'd be good for this or this reason, but he probably can't do these other things, And same way, like literally if you spend 10 minutes in a gym or 10 minutes on a mat, like you know if a guy's a wrestler or not.
Yeah,
You know if he's
100%.
got some jiu-jitsu skills or not.
100%.
You can't hide that, you know?
Yeah. You said the friends, right? So you talk about the connections and like how we meet people and like your friend group, your core group, you want to have people who's successful and things like that. So now in my head, I'm at that, not that stage, but like I'm mindful of who is in my inner circle.
Yeah.
So, and of course you want them to be striving, you want them to be working hard, but now I'm like trying to build new relationships and I'm like, how do you separate, hey, I want to meet this guy because maybe he could do something for me, or I want to meet this guy because he may be a cool guy, like trying to, are we past that, oh, he could be a cool guy stage? Or?
I don't need any more cool friends.
Yeah, all right.
Some people take it the wrong way when I say that.
No,
Like,
I'm with it.
Anytime I'm going to answer your question, it's going to sound like I'm not, but I'm going to answer your question. And when I think to myself of like, oh, I'd like to meet so-and-so, or oh, I'd like to meet somebody who's good at this, that it might not be a specific person, but I'd like help with a certain area. So I got to meet somebody that's an expert at this. Or I got to meet a specific person, or I'd like to meet a specific person and get to know that person better. Maybe there'd be a good opportunity between us, you know? But when I have a thought like that of like, I want something, about a second later, I think to myself, well, how could I make myself useful to that person? What could I help them out with? They'd be delighted to meet me. They'd be delighted to spend time with me. And that's not like a psychology trick or something. It's like I spent more than 30 years of my life trying to make myself useful and be smarter and more resourceful. And it is a sincere goal that anyone that I would spend time with, like, I'd like to know that I'm helping them with something. I'd like to know, I feel secure in our relationship then. I feel secure in our friendship if like, if I'm helping you make double your income or multiply your net worth over time, probably you're going to say nice things about me.
Yeah.
Probably you're not going to fuck me over somehow.
Yeah,
probably you're going to learn. If you were helping me, if you were teaching me some wrestling, and I was teaching you some business, we were both making our lives better.
Yeah.
That's a great foundation to be good friends.
Yeah.
So I'm less secure in a friendship or a relationship if it's not clear to me, like, why does that guy hang out with me? And some people is like they're like, Derek, that's disloyal, that's this or that. Man, I begged my friends from childhood. I'm embarrassed to say some of it. Like I asked some of them 100 times, hey man, come to college with me. Hey, come work on this business thing with me.
Yeah.
Hey, come look at this investment with me. And it wasn't part of their playbook, that they wanted to smoke weed or do other things, and things turned out real bad for some of those people.
Of course.
I begged them to come with me.
Yeah.
They got to do their own thing, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, my 6 friends from childhood that I was close with, like, so 3 of them are dead. One of them's doing 30 years. One of them's doing life in federal prison, and the other one's crippled up because he's drunk and high at work and got himself fucked up, and it's all his fault.
Yeah,
with heavy equipment, It's just life. You have some friend back in the day that was like, that you were a better friend to them than they were to themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
For sure, there's somebody in your past that you were a better friend to them than they were to themselves.
Yeah.
So I tried to help people, and I don't beg anybody to do anything. I just think, well, if they don't see the value in what we're up to, that's cool. Then I'll just go do it myself, or I'll invite somebody else to do that with me. So if there's something I believe in, I don't ask too many people. I wouldn't ask anybody 3 times to do something.
Gotcha.
I might ask them once, so like, hey Phil, I was thinking you and I could do this or this together, and I could help you in this or that way. Would that be useful to you? And if I might come back if it's stuck in my head of like, man, I think that'd be a good opportunity for Phil. I think it'd be a good opportunity for both of us. Let me have one more conversation with him about that and be a little more clear of like why I think it might be valuable for you to, come be a guest speaker at one of my events, or come train with me, or whatever we might do together.
Yeah.
Why would that be valuable to Phil? Why would that help him? Let me explain one more time. And if you're not with it, if you're like, oh man, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bring it up a 3rd time. Somebody else is going to go do that.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'll be spending time with them, and you'll be doing whatever, and I'll be doing something over here, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't have any accidental friends anymore.
Oh, okay. All right. Great.
So I try to be very clear of, I don't know, I think the value of a friendship is if 2 people, if you had similar goals, if you had similar values, that you're a decent, loyal person. You're not a scumbag. You're not going to do nasty things. So if you had similar values, that you're going to be good to each other, and you had similar goals, like, hey, we both want to be over here.
Yeah.
Here we are. We both want to be over here. And then you got some different skill sets. There's some things that you're good at that I'm not so good at yet. There's some things that I'm good at that you're not so good at yet. But if we worked on that together, we could both get a lot closer to our goals.
Yeah.
Probably we're going to be good friends.
Yeah.
And if you want to go, if you think of friends from back in the day, when I want my friends to go to college and get A's with me, and they want to go get high and drunk and do some, hoodlum type shit.
Yeah.
We had a different vision,
Yeah. 100%.
So, but one more thought about that. I think this really, sums it up. When I say that, like, I don't have any accidental friends. It's like, you got that bottle of water?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just show that. So Phil's got a bottle of water here. So the cap was sealed. I gave you a sealed bottle of water.
Yeah.
How much human shit, how much human feces would you like to have? And are you okay with it just being pure water?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Pure water is solid.
What about like 2% shit?
2% shit?
Would it be better or worse?
A little worse. A lot worse, actually.
What about like arsenic or cyanide or some poison? How much poison would you prefer to be in your water?
Probably zero. Zero poison.
So when you make decisions about who you spend time with, like, should you spend 98% of your time around productive people, and like only 2% around people that are going to poison your fucking life and distract you from living up to your full potential? What about 1%? Should you spend 99% of your time around doing something productive and 1% around people that are going to take you away from your real potential, who are going to poison your life?
Yeah, that's deep. That's different. Yeah, and then when you say it like that, because we tend to think like life isn't that serious, but like when you say poison, arsenic, the people around you can poison your well, and
they do.
You're 100% right.
I've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just think of it that way, if that makes sense.
No, 100%.
No, one thing that's lingering in my mind when you were saying about managing your own rental properties is if you do that yourself, they're going to call you at 3 a.m. They're going to say that there's a spider. It's going to be a little common house spider.
Yeah.
But they're going to tell you there's a fucking tarantula in the kitchen right now.
Yeah.
And we need you to come take care of it.
Yeah.
And they're also going to call you and like, just craziest things, man. Just the craziest things. So you're gonna get a phone call that the toilet's clogged, and you'd be like, oh, I got to help them with that. They got to have a functional toilet for their family.
Yeah.
So you're gonna send a plumber over there in the middle of the night at great expense, and you're gonna pay the plumber to come over there. He's gonna go unclog the toilet, and he's gonna tell you like, yeah, the ladies over there, there's a bunch of tampons on the toilet, and you got to talk to your renters, make sure they're not doing that, because it's going to clog up again the same way if they keep flushing that stuff down the toilet,
Yeah.
And you're going to give them a call and you say, hey, I took care of that for you. Sorry you had that problem, but do me a favor. Please be mindful. If you told the ladies in the house, and just throw that in the garbage in the future. Use the garbage can for that, so it don't clog up the toilet again.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 days later, the toilet's going to be clogged again. What's in there?
Same damn thing. For sure.
So that happened to me in real life. And then when you talk to the people, they're going to say, yep.
Yeah, not me.
No, we didn't do that. No, we didn't do that.
Of course.
They're going to tell you the first time they didn't do it before. You'd be like, well, the first time you say it to them, they say, oh, we didn't do that. So, I understand. Nobody did that. But can you just make sure in the future that if anybody uses that type of product, just put it in the garbage can, not the toilet, please.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, nobody did that here, but we'll make sure it don't happen again. 10 days later, again.
Yeah.
And those are very frustrating times for me. Is like when you're being clearly lied to, or people don't pay their rent, and it takes months to get rid of them. You still got to pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
And you got other things going on in your life that you'd rather be focused on. So I think you'd be better off. You don't need to hire your own in-house property manager. You'd find somebody that take like 1 month's rent, and you get the other 11 months rent, and they take care of the property for you.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even know that was an option.
You could find a deal like that.
Oh, okay. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
Then you don't have to you don't have to have that phone call at 3 a.m. that you're doing your fucking weight cut.
Yeah.
You're already in a sour
different
mood.
State. Yeah, for sure. I didn't think about that. Okay, yeah. Thank you, brother.
Look into that. That'll be useful. What else? You're interviewing me today, so what else?
Man, you just been killing it. I don't know, man. Like I'm just trying to take it all in.
We were talking off camera earlier. You were making a comment that you said you watched one of my videos in the past,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the value of being in a good mood versus if you have a responsibility that you have to take care of today. There's you might as well be in the best mood that you could. That if you're going to do it anyway, you might as well be in. You have more energy. You feel better if you could tell yourself, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So how can I find the good in this, or what's the best way for me to be thinking about it to get the most out of my day,
Yeah. So earlier I said, I was like, because I just learned about this maybe like a year or two ago, I kind of made the connection, and I had to read a book or listen to a podcast. And it was like, okay, if you're going to do something that's monotonous or something that you want to do or you have to do, and you don't feel great, you still got to do it anyway. And for you, I hear you say it, boom, just YouTube, boom, free, take it. And I'm like, okay, dang, shift, mental shift. But I think you have to be pretty mindful to make that mental shift, because some of us just go through emotions throughout the day, and we're upset, and we let our emotions run our life as opposed to being mindful of our emotions. And hearing you say that, I was like, okay, maybe he's in, maybe just a little more psychology, because you said something about neural pathways too. So I was like, okay, let me dig deep in this.
My friend Brandon Carter, he's a large, very fit, ripped V-shaped torso, he had a lot of modeling gigs. He runs a fitness channel on YouTube. He got, 700, 800,000 followers. And Brandon, big ripped black guy.
Yeah.
Real nice guy, but he looked mean and angry.
Yeah.
He looked, if you looked at me, like, man. But he's fucking just big, jacked and chiseled.
Yeah, for sure.
205 or so, and chiseled. There's no extra fat there. Anyway, Brandon explained to me once that, and he lives down here, by the way, so easy introduction. But Brandon explained to me, he made this video. Actually, I've seen it in a video, and then we had a conversation about it later. So he made a video. Said, well, when's the most important time to go to the gym? And he says the most important time to go to the gym is when you don't want to. He said that's the moment in life when you're laying in bed and you're making excuses of why you don't want to, and is that an okay excuse? And this, all of us have done this.
Yeah, of course.
You're evaluating your excuses.
Yeah.
And he says that's the time where I learned about neural pathways from him. That's the time where you're either making a decision that you're going to get out of bed and go do the thing you're supposed to do, and you're building champion neural pathways that you feel proud of yourself, you did the right thing, and you're engaging in a behavior that's going to make it habitual. You're engaging in a habit to have more and more champion type outcomes. You're engaging in champion behaviors, and more likely to have champion outcomes. He says if a person lays in bed and they accept their excuse instead of doing the thing they're supposed to do, he said, then you're linking up your brain to have more bitch-ass neural pathways. Now, he went to college, but his degree it was a business degree, not a psychology degree. So I'm not sure that he's a medical authority, but the way he explained it made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me now.
He said if you accept your bitch-ass excuse, that you're building bitch-ass neural pathways in your head, it's going to be easier for you to be more of a bitch in the future and be less than your full potential. So that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's my primary educator about neural pathways and how they work.
So I'm with it. That sounds perfect. Sounds great.
Shout out to Brandon Carter. What up, buddy?
For sure.
But you think about that. I love things like that are humorous but also true. But if you think about that, yeah, man, it's true. It's I'm sure there's been at least once in your life, probably a long time ago, that you went with your excuse instead of doing the thing that you knew you were supposed to do today. And you never feel the best about that, And if I'm not perfect, man. There's plenty of things I'm not good at, plenty of things I'm never going to be good at because I just don't care, But for the few things that I focused on in life, that I wanted to be good at business, or if I wanted to go to the best grad school, I had to study and be there. So I had to be good at academic stuff. I had to go do real world stuff. I had to learn about stock market. I had to learn about be a good entrepreneur, be a good investor in real estate. Or training. I've been training for about 7 months on MMA, and I'm I don't pretend to be any better than I am. I'm about to get a blue belt. So
hey, my man.
Derek, actually, your boy Derek ran me through Jake Shields asked me, I don't know, a month and a half ago. I said, it's quick, but you're really starting, your skill set's starting to be there. 'Cause I'm training a lot. I'm training 10, 12 hours a week, and my body's always tired because I'm 43 years old.
Yeah.
So my body's always sore somewhere.
Of
But I'm
course,
training
of
a
course.
lot. And Jake said, he mentioned they could probably give me a blue belt soon. And at that time, I was training less than 6 months, and I was like, yeah, really? Like, kind of. So I asked when Derek Brunson was over, is one of the fellows from his gym. I asked him, like, what do you think of as blue belt qualifications? And he spent a couple hours and kind of run me through that, and he's like, no, that's legit. And,
Yeah.
and then I was with Frank Muir last week also, and I asked Frank.
Jeez.
I asked, same thing, Frank. I spent 4 hours with Frank, but we spent about 2 hours testing that. We were like 4 hours training. With him. And and he said the same thing. So then that kind of gave me a little confidence boost. I'm like, all right, if Derek said that and Frank said that and Jake said that, then that's legit.
That's valid. Yeah, that's valid.
That's legit. So for the few things that I focused on a lot, for if I pay attention to something, I can get good at things really quickly if I focus on it. But I'm sure you've had times in your life you're doing the same thing. You're so focused on something that you're kind of obsessively thinking about it, and maybe you go to sleep and you're dreaming about it. But I know when I start having dreams about my new goal or what I'm training, then I know I'm going to have a breakthrough.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we're often told obsessive is not good, and like right now with MMA, because you know how MMA works, you only got so long till you're so good, and you can only do it so long. So I'm a little obsessive, not a little, a lot obsessive.
Yeah.
Then you hear like, oh no, you need more. You need to spread yourself. But I'm like, no, I only got a short time. So hearing you say that, I was like, okay, it's like music to my ears.
Hey man, if you only got so much time, and if I don't get my black belt in my 40s, I don't see how I'm going to be a world champion at the UFC, and
yeah.
Probably wouldn't work out for me if I don't get serious soon.
Yeah, for sure. I
gotta be focused.
What's also so this is business, little marketing type thing. Like, how do you choose the fighters you like to fight, or the characters you enjoy? This is me as a fighter trying to understand, like, what are the people looking for? Like marketing, business, trying to...
honestly, I don't give a shit if somebody watches this, likes it or not. And, I have that conversation with my team internally. They're like, oh, well, Derek, the people mostly come to you for business advice, and you've been interviewing a lot of fighters, and what do you think the audience thinks of that? And I had this conversation recently. I don't give a fuck what the audience thinks of that. I'd be delighted if 90% of my audience went and did something else.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be with the other 10% that, like, they get the idea of, like, think of the overlaps between what we do is, like, a normal person can't even understand it. Is the amount of that obsessiveness that you need to even think that you're going to be a top competitor in the fucking UFC.
Yeah.
So when they talk about like some bum at home that never been punched in his life and maybe should have been, it's easy for them to have whatever little criticism or whatever their little bullshit opinion is about something, but like they don't understand this, like, this 10 years or more of training to be top. You train for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
You worked your ass off in ways that a normal person can't understand. You said no to so many thousands of opportunities, invitations to go do normal people stuff.
Yeah.
You said no to thousands of invitations to go do normal shit
Yeah.
because you had something exceptional in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have injuries that you got to work through. People get surgeries they got to work through. People get, the weight cut is not fun for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun for me. I've tried intermittent fasting for like 12 hours. I was sleeping for 7 of them.
Hey,
but when I woke up, I was thinking about cannibalism already. It was a danger to small people in society if I didn't eat some food soon. So now, man, to answer your question, it's like I just interview people that I'm interested in knowing more about, or people that I respect, or people that. I know the work that goes into that, and I have a lot of respect for it, and I'm just interested in learning about that myself, and I'm working at it pretty diligently for such an elderly man,
Yeah.
So, and then if I do an interview with some of the guys and we get along well, and I'm like, oh, I see how we could help each other with something, or we'd like each other, or be useful to each other, then I'd love to have some of them as training partners and whatnot. So
Got ya.
that's kind of just the way I've been looking at it.
Got ya. And what attracts you to certain fighters? Like, what about them? What character traits, or like the way they look, or like no, this is part of it, right? Because me, like marketing, I'm like, what makes Conor McGregor different? Of course, his performances are great, but he has this huge tattoo that okay, boom, that's Conor McGregor. Even
I hear what you're saying.
like now I'm trying to.
Well, my boxing coach had a bad situation with Conor. That
Paul.
So Paulie, Paulie was helping Conor train for his Mayweather fight. Maybe you know this story, you know, and I think Conor is a great marketer. I think he's a fantastic marketer, and he didn't do what he did at UFC accidentally. There's a level of skill and talent in that. So I don't want to disrespect things that are he clearly earned, but. In his marketing effort for his Mayweather fight, he kind of threw my boy under a bus, saying
that's awful.
They did 12 rounds together, 12 boxing rounds, which for training camp is not normal. It's like they do 2 or 3 rounds, then somebody else 2 or 3 rounds. So Paulie did 12 rounds with Conor when Conor is in near peak condition, and Paulie is semi-retired. Yeah. And then he released 40 seconds or a minute or something of tape where he's looking good and my guy's looking bad, and nobody in that room. I know a couple other people that were there that said they're like, well, that's not what happened, but and anyway, I don't need to say more about it. But Conor's not my favorite guy. And,
okay, all right. Sorry about that. All right.
Out of loyalty, I've been invited twice. When 2 people that know him well have asked me if I'd be interested in doing an interview, and probably be good for marketing, but it won't be good for my personal integrity or relationships. That. Paulie's a friend of mine, and I wouldn't do that. So, but to answer your other question, is like no, I wouldn't say I haven't. I kind of look at outcomes of the people that I've been interested in, or I interviewed a lot of the OG guys or Hall of Fame guys, or Hoist Gracie or Chuck Liddell or Tito Ortiz or who else? Forrest from the Hall of Fame, Dan Henderson. I'm sure there's a couple more that I'm Hall of Fame people that I'm not thinking of, and. There's only been 90 or so champions ever. I did interviews with about 30 of them. Yeah. So, I sat down with a lot of the champions, and then, there's, you meet more and more people. And, I mean, I never went to a UFC fight until November last year, and now if I go there, there's,
What, Madison Square Garden?
Madison Square Garden. There's just,
Dang. Yeah.
So that's the first time I ever went to I just worked on business my whole life.
But,
if I go to an event now, I know everybody. I know the cup men. I know the referees.
Pretty sure.
I know the interpreters from different languages. I'm like, oh, that's a Portuguese interpreter guy.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool.
I know the security guys there. I know a lot of the fighters and so on and so on. So I don't know, that network is growing very quickly for me. But I wasn't thinking about it as it was a sincere interest. I think that's probably the reason why. And that's probably the core for the question, really, that might not be how you were thinking of it, but it's probably the right answer. Is like, if you were like some weirdo trying to be like, how could I, meet 50 people in this sport, or how could I meet like 50 NFL players or something, or if you're some like weirdo like fanboy, probably you couldn't, But like, I think any of those people that. There's literally 50 people that you and I know in common, and any one of them would say something good about me. They said that I've always been sincere, I've always kept my word.
100%.
So I think that's important. Like if that was just like if you were just trying to do a sponsorship program or some shit, I don't think you'd have the same level of connection or relationship with the individual people. And if you're some weirdo trying to, you know what I mean, like some super fan trying to the people feel that, and they're like, I'll give you your picture, and please don't talk to me.
Sure, 100%.
So, I don't think you could do it without the, I have a sincere interest, I have a respect for you and the guys that, and the women that, there's easier ways to make money, man.
Yeah, a couple.
So these are some of the toughest people in the world, like psychologically tough, physically tough, very talented, and for the amount of effort that goes into that, and the effects on your body and mental health and physical health, like there's a lot easier ways to make money. Yeah. So there's a certain type of person that dedicates themselves to that they have that level of excitement or commitment or love for what they do. I personally, and I know some guys that they do have to, they would say that I have to do it, or I have to do it for the money, and I wouldn't be able to do it for the money. There's a lot easier ways to make money.
Yeah.
But I think the people that end up being the greats, like they really love what they're doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a job. It was like kind of, I don't mean to say it in a dramatic way, but kind of they were born to do that, or
Yeah.
they felt like there was
calling.
nothing else like it. Like that was their calling.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, how do you think about it? Who are the guys that you like in fighting, or the people that you gravitate to within your sport?
Me, of course, you gravitate towards your teammates because you're around them so much, so you want them to do well, and you kind of distance yourself from the guys they fight because because you just have that. You want your friend to do well, so you can't want this guy to do well, even if you like that guy prior to him fighting your friend. So it's a close circle around your friends, your teammates, and of course you got the icons, the Anderson Silvas, the Franklins, and those guys, the Griffins. But what would you say from a business aspect? What with fighters you see, like, are they missing opportunities? Are we not diversifying ourselves enough? Like,
I think it's really tough. I had this conversation with a lot of people, and when you're in the when you're in the, by the time in your field, by the time you're making real money, that you would have some money to invest in something, your fucking career is in a place where it's really high stakes, that like that next win means so much that it means double the money immediately, and maybe some extra endorsements, and you get more money for your next fight, and if you lose that next fight, then you might got to fight one or two guys lower than you, and you got more wear and tear on your body, and more time goes by, and you get less money for those fights. Yeah. And you got to build back up to where you were. Yeah. And it's kind of, better than me, but just loosely in my head, it's like an 18-month setback or something.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
So I think it's a tough situation to be in. That when you work so hard to be where you're at, that you're starting to make real money, you can't go spend 30, 40 hours a week thinking about business. It's tough to do that, I think it's a tough situation to be in. So I'm kind of empathetic about that. And I mean, some guys have asked me to manage their money. I don't want to manage anybody's money. I don't manage money for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help you understand how to manage your own money, but I don't want access to nobody's bank account. I don't want to be responsible for their retirement. Like, of course. That's not where I'm heading in life. Or I don't want to be a money manager. And I think I'd be pretty good at it, actually, because the guys that are most excited that do want to manage your money are going to do something fucked up. Yeah. I'm not going to do something fucked up. Sure. I just know the risk reward for the amount of money that I'd be earning from it. I'd be like, let me help you understand how to make better decisions, but go make your own decisions, And it'd be like, you could teach me some technique or some skills, knowledge that you've learned over, but I still got to be responsible for my own outcomes,
Yeah.
So I think it's a tough gig, man. I think it's a tough gig that, like, by the time somebody's, at the end of their career, then they're thinking about, but there's a little, I don't want to say it with even a tiny bit of disrespect, but I feel the concern that, I feel some of the people that are towards the end of their career, they're like, what the fuck am I going to do next,
Yeah.
And, this is what I did my whole life, and what do I do now? And they got some money, but they don't know, they need to learn, they need to put it in responsible investments because that's their retirement,
Yeah.
And then also if they could do some entrepreneurial things, will they still have a relevant brand name that, their name is well known, their image is well known. So, I think that's probably a pretty decent thing to do, that, while you're in your career, maybe there's some endorsement things. I always tell the fighter guys or other athletes that when somebody's trying to get you to invest in a business, I don't think you should, because you don't have time to understand what the fuck's going on. But if they want to give you equity in a business for like some endorsement type deal, I think that makes a lot more sense. Like, if somebody wants you to be involved in the business, you shouldn't have to put money in it. Like, it should be for you. Yeah. For you,
just
it should be
your face, or are you saying like?
Yeah, like, okay. I need to understand what you do. I need to understand it's legitimate. I need to understand how it works. So you feel good and sincere and endorsing something. But if there's somebody that has a business idea for some clothes or an energy drink or something that you would actually use, and that you're like, yeah, I like that product. Like, okay. I use that product. I like that product. I know what it is, and it's good for people. That you'd be happy to have your name and your face associated with. Get equity in companies like that.
Okay.
Tell them, yeah, I'll be a significant sponsor, but I want 2% of the entire business, or it depends where they're at. If it's already established business, get some equity. If it's an early stage business, you want a lot more than that, then, yeah, I'll be the main marketer to get things started, but you're gonna give me 30% of the business or something, So I think deals like that might make sense for you.
What's now you said something about a gym, and if you're hot right now, I'm me as a fighter. I'm kind of afraid to be like, okay, I want to make a gym, call it Phil Hawes Gym, because in 5 years, like they're gonna be with the next new MMA fighter, and no one's gonna remember who Phil Hawes is. But you're saying that might be a good idea as opposed to, or should I do some generic gym like go Ultimate Fitness or?
Why don't you let somebody else go manage a gym, and why don't you do the same endorsement deal? If let somebody else who already owns a gym, they're already managing a gym, they already got a good gym. Maybe you've been to their gym, you like their gym, they're a legit operator, and now you do a co-branding deal, and you say like, hey, I'm gonna help refresh the image here. I'm gonna stop in between training camps. I'm gonna stop in and do a minimal amount of training.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a minimal amount of training, so you're not messing up from your own training.
Yeah.
But you're gonna show up and help out with something. They put your name on the building. They put your face on the wall.
Okay.
Why don't you do something like that and say, hey, give me, 20, 30% of this business. 20, 30% of the profits are going to you. But you'll help them, revamp an existing business. And then you don't have that time commitment. You're making money, but you're not an operator that you got to be there every day or every week and managing people,
Got ya. Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, perfect. Yeah, I like that. That's smart. I always thought, okay, make my own business, make my own gym, but now I could just try to talk to a guy, use my face.
I just made a home gym, and some of your guys have been there, and I got about 3,000 square feet of gym space, in my office complex, and I spent a lot of money on equipment. I spent a lot of money. The real estate was expensive. The remodeling was expensive. The gym equipment itself is, 6 figures.
Yeah, geez.
And so I spent about $3 million and on real estate renovations and equipment, and that's just for me to go train with my friends. But if you're going to go build, if you were buying real estate in a significant city, in a major city, and then buying equipment and renovations, is like you easily could spend the PI, the Performance Institute out in Vegas, they spend about $20 million on.
Crazy. Have you been there? Have you seen it yet? Or?
Yeah, I've been there. Forrest Griffin walked me through.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Forrest walked me through. He's very. Shout out to Forrest Griffin. What up, Forrest? I know you're watching right now.
He's a good guy.
Claudia also works. So Claudia Gadera.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out to Claudia as well.
Oh, she's there. Oh, I didn't know she was working there.
Yeah, Claudia's there.
Oh, damn, that's awesome. She's badass.
Yeah, she's a tough little.
Yes.
Was she like 5'4"?
Something
I think she's
like
about 5'4", and she's like 145.
Yeah, solid.
And she's lean.
Yeah,
she's
solid.
lean.
Yeah.
So, we see you, Claudia. What up? I like both of them. Claudia is great, and Forrest is a good guy. Claudia is a great woman. I like both of them. But I spent about $20 million on that facility. I spent about $3 million on a private facility. So. It's not cheap if you're going to build something that's competitive, that it's going to be a destination in a city. You're going to want it in a major city, and for it to be a destination, it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I just think it would be easier ways for you could probably make more money for less effort doing a co-branding deal with an existing gym that's a good gym and well respected, and they could use your success to help bring attention to what they're already doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Solved all the world's problems. What else?
My man.
What else we building?
Economics. Yeah, I know it's part of business, but is this something people know the word, know the term, but I don't really understand it because I never really tried to understand it. Is that something you suggest, really look into, dive in, study, maybe go back to university, try to figure it out, or?
You're already an economist. You just don't know it yet. So the study of economics is literally the management of how do we get the optimal use out of scarce resources. We only have so much time, so much money, so much energy. How do we use that to have the best outcomes that we have in mind? So you're already doing that. You're already thinking in your think about your physical fitness. So you're like, well, it's important that I have a certain level of cardio. My weight's got to be at a certain place. I got to step on the scale at 185. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're walking around at 210 when you're not training or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Something like
exactly.
that. So we got to get from 210 down to 185.
Yeah. That's good.
Derek Moneyberg knows everything is true. You got to get from 210. I'm probably the most humble. I was just having this conversation
top
with
five,
my
most
friend
humble.
Brandon Carter. I mentioned earlier. Brandon and I joked together. He's like, Moneyberg, you're a humble man. He said, you and I were probably the most humble. They'd have to know how great we are to understand just how humble.
I like it. I'm still
It's
not. I'm still
an
not.
extraordinarily narcissistic thing to say, but we have a lot of fun laughing about it. Economics, you're already thinking about like, well, what's the most efficient way for me that, on a certain date, I got to step on the scale at 185. I don't really want to be 185 and a half. I'd like to be right at 185. You don't really want to be 183 either, do you?
Yeah, no.
You like to be right at 185 on a certain day. So you got to think about your caloric consumption. Then you got to balance that against your training. And you're going to be, lifting weights, having your cardio on point, doing your MMA, routines of keeping everything fresh and moving, learning a couple new things. And that whole balancing act is economics. So now you just apply that over to a business or whatnot. Is like, well, how much money is coming in? How much do we spend on marketing? That if we're spending some money on marketing, we got to be making more than that back, or what the hell are we doing? We're just throwing money away,
Yeah.
And what areas of marketing are most efficient to reach the people that I want to reach, and who are the people that I want to reach, and who are the people that I don't want clients that they got to be willing to show up for their own success,
Gotcha.
So imagine if you built a gym and you got some, do you want to train guys that are like, they're going to show up on time, they're going to show up consistently, they're going to do what you told them to say? What would be the outcome? They're going to get good results,
Yeah.
Versus, do you want to spend your time training somebody that shows up once in a while when it's convenient?
That's
makes
not
a
it.
half-ass effort while they're there.
Yeah.
Shows up 10 minutes late, makes a half-ass effort. You want to spend your time working with them people?
No.
I don't either.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. I don't want to spend no time with those people either. So, and even when I say stuff like this on camera, or when I said earlier, like, I don't give a fuck. If somebody don't like what I'm saying, like, go watch a knitting channel. Go learn about crochet, cooking. Go learn golf. I don't give a shit what you do. Like, somebody that, if I was being myself, if I was speaking from my heart, somebody that really don't vibe with that, or they're just like, nah, fuck these guys. Like, if they look at us talking, they're like, oh, fuck those guys. All right. I'm not even mad at them. It's like, cool, man, go play golf, man. Go do whatever you do, man. Whatever soft little weak fellas do, just go do that. Go join your people, man. If they don't identify with us, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I communicate very honestly that way of like, the type of person that I would want to work with, they're probably good at something already. They probably already learned how to learn. They've already developed a skill at something. And maybe they went to college and they're good at something, or maybe they were an athlete, they had a good work ethic from college football or from whatever, Maybe they were like a military person, or like, maybe they're a construction person, they're a good plumber or a good electrician. But the important thing is they already have some sense of self-discipline, and they already learned how to learn. And if I can have somebody like that who already, they're doing good at something, and they're serious that they want to learn about entrepreneurship, or they want to learn about investing, I can help them. It's easy.
Yeah.
And if somebody came to you at the gym that they were already good at something, and you're like, all right, man, now you got to learn this, and they're like, okay, and they did it. It's easy to work with those people. You feel happy to help somebody that's trying to help themselves,
Yeah, 100%.
But I can't help somebody that don't want to help themselves. You can't be more dedicated to somebody's success than they are,
Yeah.
So I that's my marketing message right there. Is like, if you're okay having like a middle class income, all right.
That's cool.
All right, You know what the average income is in America for an individual?
Average income?
Not for a house, yeah, like 50th percentile, like the person in the middle, in the wealthiest country in the world.
40,000?
43,000, yeah. $43,000. Look at you. $43,000, yeah. Average household income is about $60,000, but for an individual with a job, $43,000. And 50% of people are making less than that. So if you're okay making 30, 40 grand a year, all right. That's probably not the right person,
Yeah.
if somebody's offended by that stuff. All right. if somebody's offended by that, it's somebody who knows that they should be doing better and they could be doing better, but they ain't put in the work yet.
100%. 100%.
So I think some people enjoy when I poke them a little bit. Like,
yeah, some people need that. Like,
damn it, I know I could do better too. But yeah, I mean, some people they don't want to. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah.
But they should be mad at themselves. Mm-hmm. It's like they don't want. If you're okay with that, okay. But I like to help people that they want to end up with at least $1 million net worth, and $1 million ain't what it used to be. If you've been looking at real estate, you see in that $1 million ain't what it used to be.
Yeah. What's now? You think you should try to time that, like, because I'm not a market trying to buy the duplex, whatever, and people are trying to wait, hold on. But I'm like, you really can't time it, right? Like, you can't time the market, like.
I think with real estate right now, yeah, I mean, you can have plenty of insights into a real estate market. I think at the moment that interest rates are going to go up some more, and a lot of a house's value, at least in the short term, a lot of the price of a home or the price of property is constrained by, what can a person make in monthly payments, So for most people, there's a few people that could go buy properties for cash. I have closing on a property on Wednesday in a few days.
Hey, congrats, brother.
I do it all the time, so it's like, it's insulting what you just said.
Wow.
Like I said, congrats. Oh, you went to the gym today. Congrats. Okay,
little accomplishments, man.
I can pay cash for a property. Sometimes it's wise to, sometimes it's not. But for like a normal property, like a normal family house, there's going to be some downward pricing pressure, because if they keep raising interest rates, which they probably have to help with the inflationary pressures at the moment, a person can only, if your income doesn't go up as much, if the interest rates keep going up, then more of your purchasing power is going to interest, which means you have to buy a smaller home or less, a home with lower dollar value, So I think there could be some downward pressure. And I know, we're in Florida at the moment, and in Florida, I know the real estate market's been wild.
Crazy. Yeah,
some things have more than doubled, and I understand why. That a lot of people like to move here right now. That there's more freedom, and it's a nice place for many reasons. But a lot of people have moved here recently. But yeah, I'd like to think about that more. But the number one thing I'd say, prices could go down, and it's not that I don't think the demand is going to go down in Florida. But I think there's just going to be, you have some rich people from other states that are moving here that just pay cash and bid up the properties. But then I have to balance that with, when you raise the interest rates, a normal person that would be buying a property with a loan, they can't afford as much of a property because more of their payment is going towards the interest. So they have to buy, even if they're making the same payment, they're going to have to buy a less expensive home. And so it's a weird market right here. It's a weird market in Florida right now that a lot of people, rich people, move here and bid up the prices, but then normal people are going to have to buy lower dollar cost homes, and that could put some downward pricing pressure on the properties. So I'm going back and forth, and I don't know what the exact equilibrium is, and nobody else does either, by the way. But that's the mechanism or the interplay we'd have to think about.
Okay. Got it.
I'll think about that more. We'll chat about it more off camera. What else? I'm enjoying getting interviewed today.
Yeah,
So
I'm still not a fan of day trading.
Day trading. When somebody tells you that they're a day trader, I just want you to interpret that as like, dude just said he's a dumbass. Dude just informed me that he's a dumbass. His brain don't work right. So, you remember why I talk bad about day trading, or what did you hear me say about day trading?
No, I just heard you talk about how there's no get rich quick. You know what I mean? What was the quote you said? Something. It was like, I can't really off the top of my head right now. But
to be a day trader, you have to believe. So check this out. You got guys out there that are managing, more than $100 billion. You got funds out there with, $100 billion. That's 11 zeros. For those of you that don't do math naturally, that's 11 zeros before the decimals point. And they can hire the smartest tech engineers, the smartest code writers in the whole world. And they can write algorithms to do any damn thing that they want to do, to automated algorithms, computer programs. And they can hire, a team of PhDs to study the weather, to study geologic patterns, weather patterns, They read things like how much carbon is in the air over various countries, because they look at the carbon output as being a proxy for energy consumption. So the more energy that's being used, like burning coal or natural gas to create energy, releases more carbon. So that they have they have devices literally measuring the carbon in different places around the world, so they can say, countries that maybe don't report the truth of their economics, they're like, no, I think that they're using more energy than they're saying, and they're going to have a more productive economy than that people are anticipating. So they know everything. They know everything you could know.
That's insane. Yeah.
All right? And they got the best computer programmers in the world to create the algorithms that 80% of the trades happening in the market is one of these machines, is a computer program.
Really?
80% of trades is a computer, 20% is a human.
Dang,
80% is a computer. So when somebody tells me that they're a day trader, I think
on Robinhood?
that's an extra layer of stupidity. When somebody says that they're a day trader, I'm like, you know better than a team of PhDs. They have and the team of computer programmers, the best computer programmers and the smartest, subject matter experts in the world. You know better than they do what's happening right now, and you can make a more informed decision of what's happening in the economy, in the global economy today.
Yeah.
And that's just absurd. That's like, I don't know, man. There's a higher probability with no further training, and not even a joke. It's like, if I think the facts of this, is like that type of person beating those algorithms is less probable than if I were to challenge Francis to a fight or something. It's less.
Yeah.
I got a better chance of beating Francis with no further training. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Francis, no disrespect.
Yeah, of course.
But I got a better chance of beating Francis than these guys have of beating the market. It's just it's very unlikely. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Probably I better keep my head down and keep training. Probably I gotta keep training. Don't worry, Francis. You got a couple good years. I'm not a threat for some time yet. You'll be okay, man. It's a crazy thought. Mm. It's a silly thought. So I don't know, man. Whoever your favorite 115-pound girl who's probably she ain't gonna beat you in a fight. Probably you got it. Probably you got it.
I'm gonna bet the house on it.
Probably you got it. Yeah. But it's that kind of disparity. It's silly. It's just
but
silly.
when you put it in terms like that, it makes it I understand it now. You know what I mean?
I had a chat with one of my friends about this today. We were talking along the periphery of this topic of how do you make money in the stock market. And the two ways that I've learned that a person can make money for a period of time is, one of them is illegal, and I strongly don't recommend.
Like insider trading?
Yeah, insider trading. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that say that work in investment banks, that they know private information about a merger and acquisition, or they see private financial statements about a company that they know next quarter this company is going to be bad or great. They know that something's going to move dramatically. Yeah. And if they use that information, inappropriately, 3 or 4 or 5 times, pretty soon the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commissions, looks at that and they see there's a abnormal volume here and here and here and here. Jeez. And all 5 of those transactions have been handled by the same investment bank. And then how many people inside that investment bank have access to that information? And then, so-and-so's account. It might be their girlfriend's account. It might be their mom's account. Yeah. So interesting. So this there's 10 people that, this big investment bank that even have this information. And one of them, their wife's brother, just made $18 million.
That's weird. That's odd. Yeah.
So somebody's going to prison.
Yeah, 100%.
You can go to federal prison. Maybe a few of them are.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that's not a path forward for me. It's not something that I'd be interested in pursuing. Mm. The other way that you make money in the market is having patience in the short term and understanding, if you can look out 2, 3, 4 years in the future, you think what companies are undervalued right now, that the products that they create or the services that they create, whatever it is they do, is going to be it's misunderstood right now. It's out of favor for silly reasons. And in the future, this is going to do significantly better. Yeah. And if you can look at things like that, and you can. Yeah. And you can. You don't need to be a wizard. You don't need to know some inhuman, otherworldly shit. It's like, now you can look at something and be like, if you went to the gym and you've seen some guys training, you'd be like, oh, yeah, this fellow looks like he's going to be, a couple of years, he's going to be doing real good.
Yeah.
This other fellow over here, I don't think that's what it
He
looks
might not
like.
make it,
He's probably going to be doing something else in a couple of years. Is that true? Could you go
No,
to the gym?
100%, yeah, 100%.
That's probably a great analogy. Like, if you went to the gym, you already know, and I'm not asking you to say names, but
Yeah.
you have a couple people in
Yeah,
your head.
yeah.
When I say that,
Yeah,
like,
100%.
yeah, 2 or 3 years later, he's going to be doing great. And somebody else over there would be like, he's probably going to be working somewhere else. He's probably going to get a job and go do something else with his life.
Yeah.
And
100%.
but how do you know that? Because you spent, a good piece of your life, you know what it is.
In it, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
lived it. And if you're a decent business guy, you see the same thing, that you're like, I think this is going to do well in the next couple of years. This other thing, probably not, And I just have the same confidence about looking at companies the way that you would have looking at a fighter. Like, you're confident,
Yeah.
It's not like you're guessing.
Yeah.
It's like, I see what's going on here, and that's going to turn out real good a couple of years later,
100%.
So there's nothing mystical about it. Some people try to make business a lot more complicated than it is, or they see in some like 80s kung fu movie and they think that martial arts is some,
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat video game.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know. Like, there's some intricate skills and patterns and best practices to be learned there, but even in my 40s, I'm picking things up pretty quick. And I'm not trying to be a pro fighter, and several of my coaches got 20, 30 years experience. So I'm not going to know what they know this week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn everything that they learned in 30 years. I'm not going to learn that all in 1 year. So I just don't tell myself crazy shit or lie to myself that. It'd take me a period of time to catch up with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think when people are trying to get, they want to get rich quick, you're probably going to go broke quick.
Yeah.
What would happen if somebody came to the gym and this is their first day of training, like, Phil, man, I need you to teach me everything you know about MMA, in the next 2 weeks. It's like, what percentage of that would they be able to do? It's like, probably none.
Yeah.
Probably somebody stupid enough to say that is going to do nothing.
Yeah. 100%.
Versus,
Yeah. Crazy.
But economic, you know more about economics than you think you do. That you just have to, if you applied some of those same thoughts of like, well, if I want a particular outcome on a particular date, regarding your weight and your strength and your cardio, and then you're going to have to start optimizing. Probably you're not going to cut 25 pounds overnight, so you got to start optimizing. A month, 2 months. You got to start thinking about it, 8 or 10 weeks ahead of time, and that last 4 weeks, you probably got to be pretty serious and strict for sure.
Yeah.
And you know better than I do, but is that a fair?
No, yeah, fair assessment. Yeah, I agree.
So when you need to do something overnight, you probably can't. But if you start planning ahead of time, I could make this work by that time, and and you're already doing it. You're just thinking about like, well, what are the variables in play of, your caloric output? Where do you need your cardio to be? What's your strength going to be like if you cut too much weight that last few days? What's that going to do to your immune system? What's that going to do for the rest of your training, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys start thinking ahead of time, well, let me just be a little more strict with myself a couple of weeks sooner than other people might be, and there's some advantages there,
Yeah, 100%. When you put it in layman's terms like that, it makes sense.
Well, they might not understand. You understand that because you're living that. But
yeah,
another person is like,
dang, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's layman's terms. I'm speaking to another professional from a different profession,
Yeah.
But same thing in your life. If you start planning ahead, you could do more than you think you do. You can do more than you might think you can do if you plan ahead of time, if you have some discipline and do the right things, I'm sure somebody somewhere fucked up their weight cut that they had a big ass birthday cake or something crazy happened, like thought it was a good idea to get drunk the week of their fight and then did some other bad things and those probably, most of those people probably didn't work out too good for him.
Yeah.
This is one I could think of that maybe he still did good, but
yeah.
I won't say his name, but he might be thinking about the same fella.
I feel like we're on the same wavelength. Yeah.
Shout out to him too, you know who you are.
Yeah, it was a badass dude.
Yeah. What are some areas you identified? You've been thinking about business. You spent a lot of your life thinking about fighting and being a martial artist, and recently seems like you got some business topics on your mind. So what are some overlaps you're seeing, or maybe some of the prep work that you did for your career that you're seeing overlap in opportunities for entrepreneurship or investment?
I think with fighting in itself, I think we're blessed to make large sums of income, but sometimes we lack that financial literacy and that, okay, like you said, the economics, like, okay, I gotta keep this money's gotta survive me this long, so I gotta make these right investments now. I can't wait to the end of the month. So I think that's when a lot of fighters get in trouble. And I think talking to you is helping me understand, like, this isn't rocket science. This is what you do every day. This is how you cut weight, how you manage weight for the fight. Let's do the same thing with your finance. I think that's going to help me a lot. And just have you talk more about that, and like how, okay, boom, let's say a fighter makes 70 grand next fight. Boom, he gives 10 to a manager, 10 to gym, 10 to taxes. Okay, now how much left do I have to give to the duplex and the management company and things like that? And just like tell me, is it wise to jump in this with only 50 grand? Is that going to last me for the remainder of 2 months, 3 months, whatever? Or should we wait till we have more income?
No, I hear, and we can talk through some of the specific variables for your situation off camera, but in general, same way as you'd be prepping for an event. If you got a fight coming up, you're 8 weeks, 10 weeks out, you can do a lot more work to be prepared for that particular person and their particular style, and have your health optimized with the 8 or 10 weeks notice than like 3 weeks, 2 weeks notice. You're like, oh shit. And hopefully you've been keeping yourself in order, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes a good opportunity comes up last minute that you don't want to say no, because for a lot of reasons it's better to say yes whenever you can. But the more you're prepared ahead of time, you're going to be better off in general. And finances, there's nothing mystical about it. Is like if a person starts earning more money earlier and learning about financial literacy earlier, then you're going to be able to compound those intellectual gains. You're going to have other people in your peer group that know about money, because just for the same reason you have a lot of people in your peer group that know about fighting. Like that's who you hang out. So much so, if you paid attention, that a few minutes ago you just think it's normal. For when I talked about like a weight cut and this and this, when you say it in layman's terms, like, no, that's a very precise language for your profession. Yeah. From other high-level professionals know that language. You just think it's normal. It's like, oh yeah, everybody knows that. No, everybody in your environment knows that. Yeah. So the same way that spending your time being a fighter, you're around those people and you share information and you learn things from each other. And when you're a business nerd, you hang out with other business nerds and you share information and you make more money together. So if you had a little money earlier, that you're in that sort of group and thinking about those sort of things and sharing that type of intellectual transfer, you get to compound the money more and more and more. So the earlier you start, the better. Yeah. And the comments I made to you is just trying to be realistic. Is that I know how important your career is at the moment. That you're starting to make real money. You're getting some real money. You win a couple more fights, you'd be getting some real money, and maybe a few fights down the road that might be a title shot, you might be the champion. When you get the belt, by the way, if a guy gets the championship belt, it's like, I made it, this is it. Yeah. Or then tomorrow you wake up, you're like, shit, I got to be training again.
I got to make it again. Yeah, for sure.
Now I got to defend this with even tougher guys than when I that I came up through. So, kind of things are, if you get to that spot, many of them have told me that, like, shit, now I got to,
That's what it was like getting to UFC. Like,
I bet.
That's what it was. Like, okay, I'm in the UFC, I made it. It's like, oh wait, no, these guys are even more badass than the other guys. Yeah. Well, I'm sure with finance, it's got to be similar, right? Like once you said $1 million is not $1 million, but to some people, like to me, like $1 million, like, okay, if I make that $1 million, but once I get there, I'm sure it's going to be okay.
$1 million means like you have a high level of confidence you're not going to starve. Like, yeah. Honestly, though, like you're like, all right, my bills are paid. Yeah. My bills are going to be paid. I'm going to be able to eat. Yeah. I can eat what I want to eat. My family could eat what they want to eat. Our bills are going to be paid. But you still got a lot of work to do, And that just means you're not stressing about, maybe you got $1 million, like, a normal person maybe don't have time to go to their job anymore. because now they got to be thinking about investments, or maybe they still got to show up to work for a few more years and keep compounding, building some more, so they could spend all of that on investments and let their job pay for their lifestyle or something,
Yeah.
I think $1 million is where things start. I think that's where you get enough money that you know a little bit, you know some stuff, you have some friends that know some stuff, you're going to have a few other smart people to talk to in your life probably, and there's still a lot of work to do. I had that when I was 29 when I had my first $1 million, and I'm not exaggerating, I did not take a day off in my 30s. I did not take one day, not for my birthday, not for Christmas, not for anybody else's birthday. It's like, I had work to do,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, you're just starting. And kind of what you said is like, I feel that way. That I asked Jake Shields, at one time he won 15 fights in a row, high level.
Yeah.
He's beaten Tyrone Woodley, Dan Henderson, some other tough guys during that run, And then he had a title fight with GSP, George St. Pierre, and he won, 2 of the judges said that he won 2 out of 5 rounds. And at that time, George, shout out to George, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
At that time, George had won like 30 rounds in a row or something. He hasn't lost a round, let alone lost a fight. He hasn't lost like a round for 30-something rounds. So Jake, 2 of the judges said that Jake won 2 rounds. So that was respectable. It's quite an accomplishment. But I asked Jake, like, what was your training like? What were your habits like during that time in your life? And he said, well, if I want, he just always speaks very matter of factly. He's not like a hypey. He's just very factual. And he's like, well, if I want to fight on Saturday, then probably I'd travel on Sunday and try to get some rest, but I'd be back in the gym on Monday. And he said, there's a lot of other guys, they want to take a month off and go party. He's like, I never did that.
Yeah.
So he win a fight. He thought he's supposed to win a fight. He's a fucking professional fighter.
That's what we do, yeah.
What is a professional? A professional is somebody that gets a consistent result.
Yeah.
A professional is if you're a pro, you're supposed to get a result consistently. Like it's his job,
Yeah.
So, I think other guys, when they want to go fuck off, I see that with money too. The people, they make a little money and they want to go party and go fuck off. And like, in my head, I just like, no, like if you have a system that's working, like I just wanted to double down and double down again and double down again and, keep it working. And then, I understood not just the financial compounding, but again, the intellectual compounding, that you learn new things and that allows you to do new things. And you learn new things and you can contribute to other people and help them. And that allows you access to social networks where you're going to be around other smart people that you share information together. And, and that's not, for somebody out there that says, all the capitalists are getting together, sharing their, secrets or something. Yeah, man, but when you go to the gym, do you not share information or techniques or strategies with your training partner? Of course you do.
Of course.
Of course you do. That's what people do. So I knew that if I kept being around other smart people that were financially educated and motivated, ambitious people, I thought well, if I do this for like another decade, I could do whatever I want, And I kind of did. That's about exactly how things turned out. But I have this other illness. Your boy Gilbert Burns and I were talking about this Friday. I can't just relax or something. Like my brain's always active, and I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And Gilbert, his version of that was jiu-jitsu, and then MMA. So we were laughing about that obsessiveness of like, he spent his whole life, he's sleeping and, he's in his sleep, in his dreams, he's thinking about, okay, if he does this, then I do this. And
100%.
And I think about business this way.
Yeah.
And he and I were laughing about it. We're just laughing at ourselves and laughing at each other over by the ring at your gym, leaning on that wall that's by the ring, We're leaning there and just laughing at ourselves and laughing at each other. And he's like, it's like sick. He's like, we're sick. And I'm like, I don't, who has the mental illness? I'm like, is it you and I? Or like, think of the people that you grew up with, or think of the people that I grew up with. And I'm like, you can picture them. You can picture a couple in your head. And like, what are they doing today?
Yeah.
So, I guess we're the weirdos. Like, we're the weird ones that are behaving differently. But the outcomes turned out a lot better than the people that he would have grown up with or the people that I grew up with, So I like having those, I need a project. So, this kind of became, my new project of, but, it's helped me lose some weight. It's helped me gain some muscle. I'm learning new skills. My brain's excited about it. And, it's not, I mean, you know this. You can learn things your whole life. In martial arts, you can learn things your whole life. So it's been good for me. It's been good for my fitness. It's been good for my happiness. I have this. I don't think it's a weird thought, but they might. But I have this thought in my head that like I feel really confident. Like even before I start training at all, I've been in enough fights in my life that if somebody punches me, like if they don't knock me out, I'm not scared or something. I'm gonna move towards them and be a little
engage. Yeah.
And so I've been in enough fights that I feel very comfortable. I could take care of myself or me and a girl in most situations. In some situations, it is what it is. But in most situations, I'd be good. But I thought, I like to travel a lot. And is it realistic that I could be like in my 60s? Could I be like 65? Am I going to be able to take care of myself or my girl that way if I didn't have a good martial arts background? And I'm just like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not true.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another motivator for me just for my confidence when I'm older. Not even now, but I was like, nah, that'll be good for my confidence when I'm an older man that I feel, good, firm.
Yeah.
Feel safe. My girl feels safe. So I thought that was another good thing that was another motivator for me to get started.
Yeah, that's badass. That's good. That's great motivation.
Phil, what can I help you with? What are we gonna make?
What are we gonna make? I think we touched on it briefly earlier when because right now, like me, my body, fitness, I got a nice physique. Okay, so I got a nice physique, and people are constantly
I
like.
know. All the girls are after my ab.
Hey, I like it.
I ain't got a six pack. I have one ab, but it's mighty ab.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Only takes one. Excuse me for interrupting.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So now I'm in the idea like, okay, should I make a fitness product? But then we talked earlier, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should just try to go tag along with someone, try to be the face of their product for a little more equity, as opposed to trying to do it on my own. Like, oh, this is Phil's product, even though I'll get more of I'll get the whole sum as opposed to.
Well, to do that, there's people that think that they come to me and say, Derek, I want to be a coach of some kind. I want to be a wealth coach. I want to be this kind of coach, that kind of coach. I'm like, all right. So what do you know about that? And be like, well, not much, but I'm interested. And I'm like, oh, so you don't know much about that, but you're going to be. And I just kind of tell them, when I tell them what it takes to build a program like that, my main 3 coaching programs are, one of them is about entrepreneurship, one about real estate, one about global markets. Well, after I spent a third of a century learning about those topics, after I spent 33 years learning about that, then it took me about 4,000 hours. Like actually about 4,000, me personally, not my team. It took me about 4,000 hours to create those programs, plus paying a staff to help me with all the little things and some of the important things that they helped me with of, creating slide decks and organizing it the way I wanted it and editing perfect and making the websites look beautiful. And then after that, then you can go set up marketing funnels and sales funnels and you're going to learn some things about technology and merchant account processing and banking stuff and some tech things that you never could imagine that you were going to need to know, but you're going to have to learn about it, and and so on and so on. And then you're going to get that title. While you're doing all that, you're going to go get your title, right? You're going to get your belt. Yeah. So, or maybe you could be the guy. I mean, there's probably a reason that something like BJJ Fanatics or something, or Judo Fanatics. There's probably a reason that that's a pretty successful website that you could make some training videos. And you could put those videos up where people are already going. They already have traffic going there to buy those videos. Yeah. And somebody already created the platform and did a lot of the marketing. And people are already going there looking to to learn from some people that that they respect, that they're a fan of, or people that are very talented like yourself.
Yeah.
So do you want to be a marketer or do you want to be a UFC champion?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I just think you make more money that way.
No, 100%, I'm with it, yeah.
You probably make more money that, or the other option is what we talked about before, but do a co-branding deal. And somebody might watch this and talk to you about it. And and if they reach out to you and ask you to put in some money, just laugh. Just laugh about it. But if there's somebody that watches this, maybe they're operating a gym, maybe they're a good gym operator, maybe they've been a bodybuilder or a MMA guy in some capacity, maybe they're a boxer, a bodybuilder, some other MMA guy, and they already got a good gym, and there's man, that they value the relationship with you. They see that the marketing and promotional aspect could bring more people in. They might be happy to spend, they'd be happy to give you 20-30% of the profits for just being involved,
Yeah.
And for the amount of effort that would go into building that yourself versus partnering with somebody that already has a lot of the infrastructure, I just think you'd be happier. You'd make at least similar money, maybe more money. You'd do less work, and you'd be happier that you could focus on the things that are most important to you.
Yeah.
So I don't have a gym to partner with you. I'm not trying to pitch you something. I'm just saying I think that would be a better path.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
I think that makes more sense. What would you say to somebody, maybe final question. So you've been training how long? You've been training like more than a decade. When do you start training for wrestling or whatever happened first?
I started wrestling when I was 15. I'm 33 now, so quite some time.
Only 18 years.
Yeah, only 18.
How can I learn that this weekend?
I got some YouTube videos.
Watch a couple of YouTube. I made jokes about that in the past. So like, if you want to be a UFC champ or a jiu-jitsu master, like probably you don't watch a couple YouTube videos and you can wrestle a teddy bear in your living room, like elbow drop an elbow on a teddy bear. But training with pros would probably learn more.
Yeah.
So 18 years.
Yeah.
18 years. What would you say to somebody here that they have those kind of crazy thoughts in their head that I'm just gonna get the shortcut. I'm not gonna put in the training. I'm not gonna put in the work. I'm not gonna have the advantages of having elite coaches, elite training partners. I'm just gonna do it myself, man. So how do you suppose that's gonna work out for somebody? They're just gonna do it themselves.
I would love to be in a cage with you. That's
Easy money.
Easy money. That's the one I want.
Who's gonna pay to come see him though?
Yeah, 100%. You can't do it alone. It's sometimes it's impossible. There's select few who can do it, but you need a team. You need to orchestrate. You need to invest in yourself. I found now that I have some income, money coming in, the best investment you can do is for yourself. You know what I mean? And to help the longevity in your career, to help your future, you just gotta invest in yourself. That's the biggest payoff. You know who else said that a long time ago? The best investment you can make is in yourself.
Well, Benjamin Franklin. Ben Franklin. Okay. Ben Franklin is a very bright person. He's a very high IQ and very industrious person. And he's like a chubby dude looked a lot like me. But girls liked him too, so Ben Franklin the girls were after old Ben Franklin.
Really?
But yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Is Adams? President Adams was involved in him. They took a trip to France, and Adams was like a really square family guy, and Ben Franklin was like an ambassador to France or something like that.
Yeah.
And Adams was like aghast at what
is that?
Franklin's there having, now Franklin got shit done. He was a great networker.
Yeah, of course.
He was very smart, brilliant man, great networker. People knew him, they trusted him.
Yeah.
But he's running around with all the women and doing some things that Adams, he didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
He didn't know that's what they were there for. But I think they had a successful trip. But I digress. I don't think I could have done shit. Just truth. It's when I was a kid, I was so misguided that I wanted to work hard. I was willing to work hard. Mm-hmm. My brain worked good. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't. As soon as I got some good mentors and got people around me that I didn't have a good sense of direction. I didn't have a good father figure. I didn't have those things. And if you haven't lived that, certainly you've seen that, and you know what I'm saying. That when I found great teachers in academia and great teachers that did things in real world, man, my life took off, my life took off. And when you can learn from the best people doing something, you get to learn from all their mistakes, you get to learn from their successes, but maybe more importantly, you even get to learn from all their mistakes, don't do this, don't do that, make sure you do this, protect yourself here, don't do that, don't mess this up, be careful here, find this opportunity, here's another opportunity, look at that. Why didn't you see that yourself, dummy? Look at it again, go do it now.
I was going to ask you that because the uncle situation, the father situation, your childhood, I'm like, okay, so how does this guy not have tons of self-limiting beliefs? Because even when you say things like, for me to go to a company like, hey, I'll be your face, but give me some equity in that company. Like to me, I'm like, oh, that's for you, you have to have some self-limiting beliefs, right? So then I'm like, how did he get rid of that? And I'm like, oh, it has to be the mentorships, because you're kind of telling me right now. Is that true or no?
No, man, that's fair. I had plenty of, I just didn't grow up with a lot of successful people around me, So like I had, if I seen somebody doing better, there's this whole like hater mentality out there right now, where everybody that they see somebody doing good and they want to say me, everybody's a critic, And be like, man, why don't you learn something from you? When you see somebody that's winning, when you see somebody being successful at something, I had moments where I was envious in the sense of like, man, I want to have that.
Okay.
But I was never mad at that person.
Yeah,
I was never mad at somebody because of their success. I was always really inspired. That I'm like, all right, if that guy could get something. I had this conversation with P. Diddy once upon a time, the Puff Daddy of the rapper. And I listened to, if you remember, maybe you're just old enough to remember the days of Puffy and Mace, and they were having quite a party in the 90s and early 2000s. And I was listening to that, and, all they talked about is getting some money, and they stopped to dance for a minute, and they talking about getting some more money, and that's what they did. And I was very inspired by that type of, like gangster rap in the sense of, get money, make your life better, go do something, or Too Short said things like this, like, I got to know him later in life pretty well, and, we spent, several nights together, several days together, but, I listened to the music from these guys back in the day talking about, get money, and Too Short particularly, he was ever talking about some crazy, being a gangbanger or something. He's saying like, get your education and work hard and go earn your spot. So anyway, I saw Diddy and Jay-Z. Those are the two that stuck out in my head. That I'm like, man, if these guys could come from the environment that they came from, and they go find $100 million, and they got more after that, But this was my thought at the time. If this guy can go find $100 million bucks, if I can't go find like 20 million, like I fucked up. That's my fault, Jeez. And that was in my head pretty early. Like if those guys could go find $100 million, they didn't have the easiest childhood. Like there's no reason I can't go find 20 million bucks somewhere.
Yeah.
And I got to have dinner with Diddy years later, and I had that conversation with him. I told him that, I had this thought a long time ago, more than a decade ago, and that always inspired me to, And I did a lot better than that since then. So I'm not so poor that I only got 20 million.
Bums.
But no, I mean, it was a lot of money at one time. It was like, I thought maybe I could do that like in my lifetime or something. And then, I did better than that. And last year I made more than $20 million. And
that's nice.
For me, that was a big, like that was a lot of money to me. Still a lot of money to me. So, no, I mean, I think that's part of it. Is I had enough self-belief that like I was never a hater. I was thinking, well, if somebody else can go make a good life for them, maybe I'm not as talented as him. Maybe I'm not as smart. Maybe he had some special help that I didn't have. But surely I could go get 10 or 20%.
Yeah.
Surely I could go find 20% of what some other man did. So I had like thoughts like that in my head, and then if I put myself around better people, and this yourself, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard before anybody else can take you seriously.
100%.
If you don't want to show up and put in the work, you're not going to be allowed to hang out with people that are living their life that way. So I just try to make that clear to my audience as well, that I'd be happy to help somebody. If somebody wants to do better in entrepreneurship, you want to learn about investing, I'm happy to help. But I can't help somebody that don't want to help themselves,
Yeah.
You got to show up for your own success. You got to take your own life seriously, and if you got one foot in, or you kind of sort of want to make some money, just go do anything else. Just go do anything else. But not with me. But those are the sort of people that I like to reach in the audience, and that's how I've thought about my own situation. Is I wanted to have the best academic mentors, the best real world mentors, and when I wanted to learn about fighting, I didn't go to Bobo's gym down the street.
No, you went straight to the source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your buddy Derek said this a couple weeks ago. It's like, he's like, man, you got a skill set like a guy that's been fighting, 4 years, that's been training 3, 4, 5 years. And I said, is that true? And he said, yeah, man, like I run a gym.
Yeah.
So, so that's 7 months. So I got a lot to learn I got a lot of things to learn. I got a lot of holes to fill and things to work on. I'm not trying to be a pro fighter, but it's it's a fun hobby. I'm learning a lot. I'm excited about it. And anything new I want to learn, I want to go to the best people. I don't need to make rookie, pay your dues early. Get over those things. And if you're learning best practices, you avoid injury. You learn quicker. You avoid injuries. And 20 other reasons.
This goes on. Yeah, I think the way you're doing is perfect, because like when you start getting those privates, that's when that's when you start jumping levels, and just like your mentorship.
Jake said I kind of chuckled when he said it, and then we both thought about it, and we're like, no, that's true. Jake said that it's very unlikely that anyone in the world is spending, like a new guy starting, is spending more time with high level fighters than I am.
Very unlikely. I don't think it's like it's 1-on-1. I think it's 1-on-1. Like
At first I kind of chuckled about it, and I'm like, no, that's probably true. It's like I'm training with pro athletes, 10, 12, 14 hours a week.
Champions.
Week.
No,
that's true.
That is true. Different.
Yeah, that is true. So almost everybody's been a world champion.
Yeah.
A few guys snuck in there of Anthony Smith. Shout out to Anthony or Derek. There's a couple of guys that have been non-champion, but they're still like top 5. So that's been a great gift, and I have a lot of respect for those people. I have a lot of respect for you and the things that you guys do.
Likewise.
And I just think it's a mistake that if you're serious about having a high level outcome in life, why you want to go train with some amateurs or some...
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to go to Bobo's School of Finance, or you want to learn from somebody who actually did those things? That's up to you. But when I wanted to learn MMA, I didn't want to go to Bobo's gym. I wanted to go learn from the best people,
100%.
One last thing. Phil Hawes has got a fight on the calendar. It's on June 18th. June 18th, UFC event down in Austin, Texas. Who are you fighting? Who's your next victim?
They're on one wrestler. Tough wrestler, but I'm top 2. So it's going to be good.
Who's going to win? June 18th, check out Phil's show. He's fighting on June 18th in Austin, Texas on the UFC card. Check that out on ESPN. Thanks again, Phil, for coming through. Our best wishes for your fight, your career. I want to insult you and say good luck. It pisses me off when somebody says good luck, like luck is what's going to fucking carry the day,
None of that.
So I know you did the work. You done the work to earn the spot. You done the work to get your hand raised. So I want to insult you like that.
I appreciate that.
But I find that insulting. What do you think when somebody tells you, "Oh, good luck"?
I mean, it's become a norm in society, so it's just like, oh, it's whatever. But I know luck has nothing to do with this.
Asshole.
So other guys got a shot. That's what I hear.
Check out Phil, June 18th. Got a great record. He's got 11 professional wins. He's a great guy in the UFC. You got a bright career ahead of you. He's done the work to get his hand raised. I hope that's the truth. Hope that's the outcome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming through,
Thank
Phil.
you for having me.
I was living on my coach's living room on a mattress. I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop. I quit my job. And
Derek Moneyberg presents 10 Commandments of Wealth.
took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC or Pride. And at the time,
Am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it. Is like, oh,
yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car, full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
It's been about a week since I've joined the 10 Commandments of Wealth program, and there's so many interviews that are offered in this program.
I'm inside the Derek Moneyberg 10 Commandments of Wealth program. This is an awesome program that you're gonna love. I'm gonna use the principles and the knowledge from this program to help me boost my leads in my marketing firm. Buy this program. It's a wonderful investment for your future. You won't regret it, and you'll absolutely love it.